this year. This is the Baseball Hour with Tony Maz. Me! Presented by Bigelow Tea, Jackson Lumber, Blue Moon Light, Wellesley Testosterone, FindMassMoney.com, Gem Plumbing, and by Golf. On Boston's home for sports, 98.5, the Sports Hub.
Ground ball to short. Runner trying to move up. Here's the throw to third. Duran in a rundown. And they're going to put him out the base path. Racing into second. Here's the throw. And out there. Toro cut down. Winds up a disjointed double play. And Cora out to argue this. What exactly he is arguing, we'll try and figure out here. But 2 down.
I don't know where he'd be going with this.
Yeah, he looks like he's not getting any satisfaction. He's been thrown out of the game. Second game in a row for the Red Sox manager. He has been tossed out.
We got another angle of this, and this is exactly what it is. Watch Rengifo block the bag. MLB put these rules in, and they never called these for some reason.
Well, they didn't call it last night, or they didn't call it last night either, and I'm getting my wires crossed here, Matt McCarthy. For a second there, I had like this little zone out. In any case, the Red Sox losers again to the Los Angeles Angels, and fittingly enough, the Red Sox now 40-40. It's unbelievable. I said this last night. It's unbelievable. You can set your freaking watch to this team that they're always going to end up at 500 one way or another.
It's a sport of consistency, Maz. What more can you say?
I mean, really, they're 40-40 after going 81-81. They're 121-121 in their last 242 games. You would think that would be difficult to accomplish, but the Red Sox somehow executed. In any case, 617-779-0985 is your number here on the Baseball Hour. You heard Matt McCarthy. He is with us tonight in studio. We have a lot to get to from that game last night. Another base running blunder, another rejection on the for the manager. And I think this is all, what's the right word, a right way to describe this? I think this is all connected with Alex Cora. I think he's extremely frustrated. I can't say that I blame him. I'd be frustrated too if I managed a 500 team for basically, 5 years, 4.5 years. And that's what the Red Sox have been. Cora's return, short of 2021 when the Red Sox made the playoffs, has not been what he envisioned. However, he did sign up knowing what this time around, it was a different contract, a new contract, a sizable, lucrative extension. He knew what he was getting into in terms of the ownership and management of the team, and he wasn't coming off a suspension as part of that cheating scandal. So, we'll get to a lot. We're going to start with Cora. I'll just say quickly a couple of other things we'll do during the course of the show. We'll get to Walker Buehler, maybe Trevor's story. Interesting report by John Heyman last night on the MLB Network that we'll get to as well, and your calls here during the Baseball Hour. Oh, and I forgot, bury the lead. We will give away a $50 Gulf gas card as well, as we do every Tuesday, or in theory, every Tuesday here on the show. So again, 617-779-0985. Let's start with Cora. How do you read the whole situation with him, Matt McCarthy? Because I said something last night on the show that I will repeat here in a minute, and I think it played out again. But I can't remember the last time a Red Sox manager got ejected 2 games in a row. I can't remember the last time it happened. I couldn't even guess. I don't know, maybe that's a question for the listeners. Someone knows. I didn't see it in any of the stuff I read today because it's probably the kind of thing that's hard to find. But you tell me, did Cora have cause for being ejected last night?
No, he did not. Not with the umpires, that's for sure. Cora's issue last night should have been with his players, not with the umpires. And I think, I don't know, Maz, if he's doing this because he doesn't understand the rules. And I think he kind of had to, last night, come out with his tail between his legs a little bit and tacitly admit that the umpires got that call right. But I think this is indicative of a larger problem with Alex Cora, Maz, in the fact that it's always somebody else's fault. It's never his fault. It's not the team's fault. It's the umpire's fault. It's not his fault. It's the roster's fault, which means it's the general manager's fault. At what point is Alex Cora going to take any level of accountability for the Red Sox mediocrity? And the answer to me is never. And at what point is he going to hold his players accountable for their mistakes? Because the story coming out of that thing last night is Cora getting ejected. What is obstruction? What is not obstruction? It clearly was not obstruction. The story should be the Red Sox ran into 3 more outs on the bases. They're throwing the ball all over the field. They can't find the plate. They are a fundamentally awful baseball team, and there's going to be no level of accountability for it. Jarren Duran should not be in the lineup tonight, and he is. Eventually, you need to sit that guy for repeatedly making dumb mistakes. But Cora's not out there to do that. He's not out there to hold his players accountable. He's certainly not going to hold himself accountable. It's always somebody else's fault.
So I think with Cora, what has struck me in the last week, Matt, and I said this last night for the benefit of our listeners, since the Rafael Devers trade, I feel like Cora has made a concerted effort to make sure that he hasn't criticized the roster, the front office, that he didn't blame anyone else in the organization for the plight of the team. And Jimmy Stewart played a cut from a couple of years ago when they signed Pablo Reyes, and Cora's immediate reaction when they added him to the roster was, well, I don't think he's an everyday player. For a guy they had just picked up.
Welcome.
Okay, for a guy they had just picked up.
Good to have you.
And so it does feel like, again, I go back to the doing the outfield drills with Roman Anthony on the field so that everyone could see him. I thought that was done deliberately to sort of let everyone know, hey, look, this is what we're dealing with. Organizationally, we're not putting any emphasis on fundamentals. So when these guys get here, we got to teach them how to position the glove and how to field a ground ball on a hit to the outfield. And I think somewhere in the middle of that, with the trade of Devers, that the message was relayed to Cora, okay, enough of the infighting. Enough of the finger pointing. Enough of the infighting. We're going to start acting like a real organization and getting everybody on the same page. That's what the goal is now that we've gotten rid of Devers. This is what we're going to do. And I don't think it's a coincidence that, as a result, in the last couple of days, Cora has turned his wrath on the umpires. And the part I find most alarming, Jimmy, if we could play the Cora cut about the conflict he had with the same crew at the end of last season. Cora, obviously this is after last night's game. There was the call that we just played, and then Cora spoke with the media afterward and had this exchange.
Our point of view was that he was blocking back at second. Guess the rule is like if he's going to be out easy, they can do that. We had a similar situation last year with the same crew, and it was Buxton at second base. Vaughn blocked the bag. He was called safe. Rocco argue, and Allen reversed the call. So that was my whole point. I was trying to make that point. It happened 6 months ago, same situation, and it was reversed last year. Maybe he's right, he was going to be safe, but I wanted to make sure, I didn't agree with it.
His bottom line
Jimmy, we can get out
was
there. So again, Cora's talking about something that happened months ago with the same crew. What? So he's still pissed off about that, and it happens again in the game last night. It strikes a nerve, and he gets tossed. The same thing happened Sunday in San Francisco. He was still pissed about a call from Friday night. And so if you're going to hold on to those as a manager, you're going to get tossed out every night. Every crew that you face at some point is going to have made a bad call that affects you in a negative way in the outcome of a game. And if you keep going back to all of those, well, then again, you're never going to last the 9 innings. But it tells me how frustrated he is and how it's got to come out somewhere. So instead of being directed at Craig Breslow or Chaim Bloom, it's now directed at the umpires. And I just think it's further evidence of how Cora is. I still wonder whether or not he's the right manager for this team anymore. And it's not because I think he's a bad manager. I think Cora as a game manager is actually pretty good. Very good. But I think that if he's so frustrated with the direction of the franchise, he shouldn't have signed the contract and come back here. I'm sort of stuck on that.
Yeah, I mean, of course. So Cora loses all the moral high ground in that. And I say this as somebody, Maz, who has defended Alex Cora for years. I said the roster isn't good enough. He wants to win. He's managing accordingly, but he doesn't have the roster. The second he signed that contract last year, he lost every right to complain about it. But he can't get out of his own way with it. And maybe this is just who he is, Maz. And I think that's the answer. This is who he is. He's holding grudges. He's remembering things that happened last year. That play was slightly different, by the way, so he's blinded by it. He's not looking at things objectively. That wasn't obstruction last night. It's not. Like, Alex, you're better than this. You're a better baseball person. I thought I gave him more credit for being a better baseball person than that. But Maz, he's so blinded by the things that, in the ways that he's been wronged or what have you. And that's the type of environment we're going to bring these young players up in. He's not the right man for the job. And he once again proved that last night, because in the end, he's not able to direct this negativity and channel that in a positive, constructive way towards his players. Because the bottom line is, this is a terrible fundamental baseball team, and that is a reflection of the organization as a whole, but in part, that's a reflection of the field manager. How does the field manager not hold Jarren Duran accountable for an inexcusable Little League base running mistake again last night? How does that not happen? But again, just back there in the lineup tonight, no problems. It's hard to wrap my head around, Naz. It really is.
All the hallmarks of a bad team are there. And when I say it, I mean bad base running, bad defense, inability to throw strikes, situational lack of awareness. The Red Sox have it all. Another loss last night, and wouldn't you know, 40-40 after 80 games. 40-40. Water seeks its level, so do the Red Sox. You could set your freaking watch by it. Just give it a little time. If they get 3 games up, 3 games down, whatever, it's going the other way. It's going to ultimately end back right in the middle, because that's what they are. We'll get to your calls when we come back on the Baseball Hour, and we'll get to Walker Buehler, whom the Red Sox signed to a $21 million one-year contract last offseason, because these are the kinds of pitchers they sign now. There was something said on the midday show today about their pursuit of rehabilitating pitchers that that triggered a thought in my head. We'll get to that when we come back.
Maz on the Sports Hub.
Walker Buehler 5 and 5. Hit deep into left center field. Rafael on a long run, and that one is going to go right over the fence. And a home run for Neto, his 12th of the season. And they quickly get one back. It is now 3-1 on the very first pitch. Walker throws tonight. Mike Trout, the designated hitter, with the bases empty. 3-2 and just missed. Oh man, it could have gone either way. Taylor Ward, and he could not pull it back, and that's going to be another one. Send up center fielder Adele, and that's going to drop in the left field, down for a base hit. Trout rounding, Duran up and gunning home. Not a good throw, and the run scores. They make it 3-2. Here's the 7-hitter, Lamont Wade, the right fielder. Running inside, and it hit him, and that's going to load up the bases. They lead at first, second, and third, and the 3-2. And walked it. That was badly. They'll force in a run, and just like that, in the blink of an eye, those 3 runs are gone. And we're tied 3-3. And he has walked 3 men here in the first, along with a hit batsman. He will face a 9th hitter in the first inning, and Christian Moore. And he walked another. And suddenly the Angels have the lead. That forces in Adele to make it 4-3. And this is absolutely painful to watch. And back up to the top of the order now in Neto, who homered on the first pitch he saw tonight. And that's going to drill him, and that's going to force in another run. My, oh my. Walker Buehler all over the map and hits a man to force in a run to make it 5-3.
Get to Walker Buehler in a minute. Let me just give you this quick stat. There are 114 pitchers in the major leagues who have thrown 60 innings. Okay, 114. And I picked the number 60 because it helps get Buehler into the field. He's thrown 63 innings now. He missed some time, obviously, with an injury. And there aren't really a ton of pitchers in baseball anymore who have enough innings to qualify for the ERA title, which is kind of sad. That's a whole story unto itself. You might get a couple a team. That's it. But in any case, out of 114 in ERA, he's 112th.
Who sucks worse?
Okay, and in 114 in WHIP, and for those who don't know, because we do have older listeners who aren't familiar with the modern metrics, walks and hits per inning pitched. Okay, walks and hits per inning pitched. He ranks 110th out of 114. So those are the two metrics, basically putting on base runners and allowing earned runs. He's in the bottom 5 in both categories in Major League Baseball. In both leagues, he has been a disaster. Walker Buehler has been a disaster. And we'll get to that take that I heard on the midday show and sort of put 2 and 2 together. We'll get to that in a moment. Dave's in Vermont. Dave, go ahead.
Maz. This team is fundamentally one of the worst I've ever seen.
Inept.
But it all comes down to the accountability, which there is none. That comes from the top all the way down to the players. And the thing is with Duran, I think he has an overstated sense of how important he is to this team and how good he is. I think he's a ticking time bomb, and he's going to cause issues for the Red Sox further on. I used to be a supporter of him, but I can't do it anymore.
So, Dave, thank you. I think there's a good chance he gets moved here before the deadline. Again, we'll play some audio for you in a moment from John Heyman, who's been covering the sport for years. He was on the MLB Network last night talking about the trade deadline. But you seem to think, too, that Duran is a target to go.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily know, Maz, if that is directly tied into whether the Red Sox will be buyers or sellers, and I don't think we have our answer on that. But independent of that, I think Duran could go at the deadline. I think he definitely goes in the offseason. He's not a part of the team's future. I mean, I've said this a million times. Roman Anthony's your left fielder of the future. Duran's probably not good enough to play center field every day as a fielder, and Rafael is having a good year, so you're probably not moving on from him. So let's just say they do go out and add a right-handed bat and a starting pitcher at the deadline, which I still think is way too far out to determine. I could absolutely envision a scenario in which the Red Sox trade Duran as well. I just think it's one of those things, you're better off ripping the Band-Aid off now. And you missed out on an opportunity, Maz, to cash in truly on Duran. You could have gotten way more for him this past offseason. His value is diminished at this point, but he can still get you something. He's still valuable enough. Some team out there is going to believe in the player that he is and say, we need a spark plug at the top of our lineup, and he needs a change of scenery. But I just think at this point the Red Sox are better off without him because getting rid of Duran helps change the culture too. People say, well, he's a leader. Yeah, that's the problem, is that Jarren Duran is one of your leaders. And where has that leadership taken you? Obviously, nowhere.
Yeah, if he's one of your leaders, you're in trouble, is the bottom line. And so, as you said, the outfield is Anthony, Rafaela, Abreu, and if it's going the way it's going, Tristan Casas might be your DH. So we'll see how, or they trade him too. But that's obviously not going to happen this year. John in the car. John, what do you got?
Hey, Matt. So first, Matt, I loved your questions on the presser last week. Great job. But going off of the last caller, the fundamentals, I mean, the defense of this team is just straight embarrassing. And half of it's on the players and half of it's on the guys running the organization. And I'll tell you, last week, I think it was in Seattle, Marcelo Meyer had a great game, and he had a great game defensively too. Trevor Story comes out after the game, says he has an internal clock like Nolan Arenado. I mean, what high praise. They go to Marcelo Meyer and ask him about it. He says, yeah, I feel very comfortable on that side of the infield. So what do the Red Sox do? They have him playing second base today. I mean, the team just cannot stop getting in their way, and it starts with defense.
So, John, I'll tell you what, it's an interesting point. I would also tell you, though, I think this was inevitable. As long as Story is here, Meyer is going to play either second or third. Okay, and when Bregman's going to come back and play third, so they're going to have to use him at second base if they want him up here. And I understand your point. I'd rather have him at second playing here than down in AAA not playing here.
Yeah,
I certainly would rather have him there than Romy Gonzalez.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. The caller is correct in saying the Red Sox have done everything in their power to put young kids in a position not to succeed. I don't know. Roman Anthony's playing right field again tonight. He's not a right fielder. I'm not as concerned about whether Meyer's playing second or third. He's a natural shortstop. He's a good fielder. He can play all three of those positions. He's going to be good at all three of those positions. He's very smooth. This is who Marcelo Meyer is. I don't know if he can hit, but I know he can play the field.
So I'm starting to like him more and more. I started to like him a lot more in spring training when we get to watch him regularly.
Very polished.
Yeah, he really is. He's the most polished of those three. Matt's in Rhode Island. Matt, go ahead.
Yeah, I definitely think Meyer can hit. But anyway, the last three games have been an absolute circus out there. I have no idea, on the base pass, how you make those kind of mistakes as a major league player. But people have been talking about Kyle Tucker. There's no way they're going to sign another contract like that unless they're going to ask him to play, defense with the Penguins as well. Thanks.
Yeah, so, Matt, the thing on Tucker, too, and look, I like the player, but I would also tell you he's another left-handed bat. And I don't know Tucker's career numbers against lefties. I haven't looked those up yet. Matt, maybe you can look those up. Not to throw a Jim Murray at you, but you get the idea.
I'll be happy to do it.
So but I think he's going to cost a crap ton of money. I don't think they want to spend it. So I don't think they're going to spend it. And the reality is they could use a right-handed bat more than they need a left-handed bat. So now, all things being equal, if it's Tucker or nothing, would I take him? Of course. Yes, give me as many good players as possible. But I'd be surprised if he's the guy that they go after and land.
Tucker's splits are very even.
Okay, good.
He hits lefties quite well. 279 career hitter against righties with an 887 OPS, against lefties 269 with an 852 OPS. So
Excellent.
He hits everybody.
All right, so
I love Tucker too, but again, left-handed outfielder, it's if you're a lefty and you can hit lefties,
then it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
That's right.
Cora would platoon him anyway.
Sean in Salem on the Red Sox defensive development system. Go ahead.
Yeah, I got a quick question at the end, Tony, so don't hang up. But, I've been calling about this whole defensive thing for years. It's nothing new, yet the numbers of errors have gotten worse year after year after year. Like, positionless baseball is, not a thing.
Right.
But with all the money they're saving, could they invest a little into the minors for real coaches? And in the meantime, why can't Cora communicate with the coaches down there and tell them to focus on these things? Or is he, not allowed to pick up the phone and communicate? There's a disconnect there.
No, is this the question? Is that the question you wanted to ask me?
Yeah, like I'm being
Okay, no.
facetious, but still, are they communicating at all?
No, I'm saying you said you wanted to ask a question at the end of the call. Was that the question, or do I have to wait for another one?
That was the question, yes.
Okay,
I was
all
just
right.
being yeah.
Yeah, no worries. So here's what I would tell you, Sean. And look, I know a lot of people want to pin that part of it on Cora, but I would tell you that the Cora does not run the player development operation. What's happening in the minor leagues is run by people under Breslow. It's not Cora's purview. Okay, so that's not his thing. Now, when they come up here and they're not ready to play, everyone says, well, they don't play defense. The manager's not teaching them. The manager's not supposed to be the one that's teaching them it in the minor leagues. So, like, that one I don't put on Cora. Now, you want to say that guys aren't held accountable, or that when they make mistakes, he keeps putting them out there, or that, the mistakes aren't getting fixed, then fine, then we can have a discussion. When they come to him, and on the first night, Roman Anthony overruns a ball in the outfield, and they have to show him how to field a ball the next day. I have a hard time putting that on the manager. Matt, I don't know if there's anything you wanted to add.
So I found it interesting today just on Red Sox minor league development. I mentioned this in the headlines. So Christian Campbell's gone down to Worcester, and one of the primary things he's going to do there is he's going to learn how to play first base. He did not travel with the team to Scranton because they wanted to work out with him at first base in Worcester.
You mean this week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's going to travel with the team later in the week. Do they not have the coaching staff to send on the road? Do they have to send somebody from Boston to Worcester? It's just one of those things that makes me wonder, what is the state of the coaching staff and the player development? Because I'm guessing a lot of it is analytically driven from Boston, passed down to a coaching staff at the individual affiliate level. Do they not have the appropriate staff to follow Christian Campbell wherever he needs to go, to work with him to play first base? They have to make this kid stay in Worcester so they could send somebody from Boston to work with him. The situation's very weird, but it's a sign of more dysfunction, at least if you ask me.
So look, here's what I'll tell you, that I don't think it's related to the number of coaches they have available. I might be wrong. I'm just telling you my gut, because when he went down there initially, they were home and he wasn't playing in games.
Yep. He did get into the game, though. He did start as a DH.
Okay, but they've not put him in the field, or they hadn't up to that point. And I think they don't want to embarrass him. I think the kid right now is a mental mess.
Yep.
And they don't want to confuse him, and they don't want to put him in games when he's trying to fix his swing and learn a new position. So they're going to try to minimize that, and they're going to let the team go on the road and teach him the fundamentals when they have a nice, quiet, empty ballpark. So that's how I read it. Honestly, what I would take out of it is that he's so mentally screwed up they can't put him in games in the minor leagues. That's how I see it. That he got really screwed up in the big leagues. And they're trying to sort it out. That's just now you might be right. It might be something totally different. I'm just telling you that, to me, that's what it feels like.
If they take it slow with him, that'll be the right approach, and I will totally be in favor of
Definitely.
that.
Yeah, again, it doesn't matter if you win games in the minor leagues.
No.
What, are they going to have a parade in Worcester?
Well, they might.
I mean, again, I'm not sure that's what people are necessarily looking for. They'll take it.
I'll show up.
But it's not the priority. The problem with the Red Sox, they've had the priority on the minor leagues and the future, really, is what I should say, more than they have in the present, which is why they've been 500 for 6 years.
Maybe they should prioritize winning in the minor leagues so that the team could actually, these players can actually feel what it's like, because they're not going to get that at the major league level at this rate.
It's true, Jimmy. I didn't say that very well, but they have put the emphasis on the individual player development. And even then, they haven't done it right because they're not teaching them the fundamentals, and they have not put the emphasis on winning at the big league level. Quickly, before we go to headlines here, Trivia Tuesday coming up next. You'll win a $50 gas card from Gulf to fuel your way to Fenway. You have to call 617-931-0985. We'll take a maximum of 4 callers, hoping to answer a single question. You win that $50 gift card from Gulf. Kevin, Matt McCarthy's got your headlines. Don't go anywhere.
with Tony Maz on the Sports Hub.
Sox are interesting. I was thinking to myself, John, when Devers was traded out west, I was thinking, what does this mean for Boston? They're going to buy right now 6 games back in the American League East. What's their plan?
Yes, you're right. They are going to buy. That did not mean that they are a seller. They're looking at 2 things. One is starting pitching. Their ERA there is around 4.3 right now. They're in the bottom third in starting pitching. So they would like to get a starter, potentially a veteran starter. Now, maybe Hicks will help out. Maybe Harrison can help out. But I think they will look at starting pitching. The other thing they're going to look at is first base. Now, Adrian Toro has actually done very well so far at first base, but he hasn't been considered a starting first baseman. I mean, I'll throw out a couple of names there, potentially, for the Red Sox. One would be Josh Naylor. Again, the Diamondbacks, not expecting him to be a seller, but if he is, there would be a feeding frenzy for him. Very good player, RBI guy. That's a guy to consider. The other one is Ryan O'Hearn, who's now leading as the DH vote getter in the American League. Now that Devers has been traded, there's going to be a big play for him. If you think the starting pitching market's going to be weak, the bat market is really going to be weak.
At the deadline. Now, the one thing I would say is he mentioned 2 guys at first base. They both hit left-handed. I think the Red Sox want a righty bat. Now, I don't know what that means. Could end up being a DH, and they play other people at first base or what have you. So it's just something to keep an eye on, that the trade of Devers doesn't necessarily mean that the Red Sox are going to sell. And that doesn't necessarily mean that they would hold on to Duran. So you're going to see it. How the Red Sox like to have those deadlines where they do both?
Yep.
This could be one of those. So just get ready for that. Now, again, that tells me if you're going for both, that you're not that interested in making the playoffs, but they want to make it look good, is my guess. So get ready for some eyewash, as they call it.
Real quick, though, Breslow last year said he did not want to do that and was vehement about that. I think this year is kind of different. I mean, I could envision a scenario, let's say the Red Sox stay afloat where they want to buy, but they want to trade Duran because that thing has run its course. I could see that. And I can take a real pass on Josh Naylor and his .663 OPS against lefties in his career. No, thank you.
Yeah, I'm not a Naylor fan. Again, and ideally, I think they'd want a right-handed bat. Before we get back to your calls, Trivia Tuesday presented by Golf. Download the Golf Pay mobile app for everyday savings. Golf, it all starts here. So here's the drill. I ask one question. If you get it right, you win the gas card. If you don't, we move on to contestant number 2. If that person gets it wrong, we'll have 2 more people on, and we'll take a maximum of 4 callers. It's one question. Whoever gets it right gets the $50 Golf gas card. So first caller is Anthony in Peabody. Anthony, you there?
Yes. Hey, Maz.
Okay, here we go. In 1973, this Angels pitcher set the major league record for strikeouts in one season with 383. That record still stands. 4 years later, he set another major league single season record of 202 walks. That also still stands. Who was he?
Nolan Ryan.
Nolan Ryan is correct. Very good. All right, Anthony, we're going to put you on hold. Don't go anywhere. We'll get your information back there. You get the $50 Golf gas card. And that sounds like an easy question, and it is for those who are older. Mm. But there are a lot of people that don't even remember that Nolan Ryan pitched for the Angels. And he did. And he was all over the place. So you want a quick story time?
Yes, always.
Okay, here's a quick story time for you. Nolan Ryan and Louis Tiant faced one another in a major league game that went 14 innings. You know this story?
This game, yeah, this is great. I know the stats behind it.
So I don't have it in front of me, but maybe you can look it up, Matt, and we'll get to it, the exact numbers shortly. Tiant went 14 innings. I think Ryan went 13 2/3, and they each threw like 250 pitches. Or something ridiculous like that. And Tiant lost the game. Ryan won it, if I'm not mistaken.
Ryan threw 235 pitches.
And how many did Tiant throw?
Stand by.
According to AI, he likely threw over 200 pitches.
That was his expected pitch rate.
Okay, so again, back then they weren't even counting pitches. But one of them went 14 innings. The other went 13 2/3, if I remember right.
Yes, Louis Tiant went 14 1/3. and Nolan Ryan, a stupid AI. Give me the box score.
Cecil Cooper went 0 for 8 with 6 strikeouts for Boston.
That's a week. Jake and Falmouth on trade ideas. Go ahead, Jake.
Hey, Maz, great talking to you. The thing is, we keep talking about moving Durant and whatever, but what exactly would we be looking for? What kind of right-handed bats, what kind of veteran pitching would we trying to get?
Well, so Jake, I would hope that they'd be able to get some sort of pitching for Durant, and I think you'd get a mid-rotation starter potentially. And if that sounds like a lot, Jarren Durant's not eligible for free agency for 3 more years. Mm-hmm. So whoever trades for him is going to get, an everyday major league outfielder. Now, I don't love Durant's game. Last year he was terrific in the final 4 months of the season, but I don't think he's a great outfielder. He certainly doesn't throw well. I think that the fact that he was a Gold Glove finalist last year to me is a borderline joke as to the state of outfield defense in Major League Baseball. But when you're talking about a guy who can play every day and at the same time, give you a pretty good effort, and he's not a free agent for 3 years, you should be able to get something of value.
Yeah, cost-controlled starting pitcher is the target for Duran, and right-handed first baseman. I mean, those are the 2 biggest needs, and I'm trying to look organizationally here, Maz. If you're trading a starting outfielder who has 3 years left of control, I want to get something that I don't have. The Red Sox missed that opportunity this past offseason because Duran was worth way more this past offseason to trade something they do have, left-handed hitting outfielder, for something that they don't have, which is young pitching or a right-handed hitting corner infield type, which, they still don't have anywhere.
Joe in Arlington. Joe, what do you got? Joe!
Hey, Tony, how you doing?
Yeah, good. What do you got?
Hey, 2 quick things. First of all, this whole thing all goes back to ownership. This is getting ridiculous on the spending. They wouldn't be in this position if they spent like a big market team that they are. So that's the biggest problem. The second thing is I haven't heard anybody bring this up, but obviously the ownership was fed up with Devers stuff showing up for, pictures or kids things or whatever. But the other thing that I haven't heard anybody mention was that
Joe, I'm going to let you go. Sorry, because we have breaking news.
This is Breaking Sports News.
Powered by Valvoline Instant Oil Change.
On 98.5, the Sports Hub.
We have a Kristaps Porzingis trade. Sham Charania tweeting out moments ago, Boston, Atlanta, and Brooklyn are finalizing a 3-team trade that sends Kristaps Porzingis and a second-round pick to the Hawks, Terrence Mann and Atlanta's number 22 overall pick to the Nets, and Georges Niang and a second-rounder to the Celtics. So once again, to recap, Kristaps Porzingis traded to Atlanta. The Celtics, as part of a 3-team deal, get Georges Niang and a second-round pick for Kristaps Porzingis.
Okay, now this is really for Felger and Maz tomorrow, but yeah, Stevens did it again.
Yeah.
I'll bite my tongue for now, Jimmy Stewart. But yeah, big news on the Celtics. I should always tell you this time of year, that we will obviously break in for any significant news. Kristaps Porzingis traded as part of a 3-team deal, traded to the Atlanta Hawks. The Celtics got back. You said Georges Niang?
Georges Niang. Is that correct, Jimmy? It's Georges?
Sure.
Georges Niang.
Yeah.
Probably a local guy.
So anyway, 617-779-0985. I do want to get back to the caller's points regarding the Red Sox payroll and their expenditures, because it does relate directly to starting pitching. We'll touch on that when we wrap it up on the Baseball Hour next.
Baseball Hour with Tony Maz on the Sports Hub.
1-2 pitch. And he went. That's strike three, and that's the ball game. The Angels win it by a final score of 9-5. This was no walk in the park tonight. There were a lot of walks, 11 for the Red Sox. That really did them in as much as any other single thing.
Yeah, it was an adventure ball game tonight, and somehow the Red Sox, until later in this game, found themselves still with a chance to win. Had the bases loaded there in the seventh and just couldn't get a run or two across. And obviously the big inning there from the Angels late in the eighth put it away.
Well, Red Sox now 40-40 as they fall to 3-4 on the trip.
Said it earlier, 40-40. Last year, 81-81. Whether it's a monsoon or a drought, the water finds its level. The Red Sox end up back at 500. It's the way it goes. Just want to answer a caller's question right before we got that news. Again, Kristaps Porzingis traded to the Atlanta Hawks. Georges Niang from... he was most recently with Brooklyn, right? He ends up with the Celtics as part of a 3-team trade. Feels like primarily a straight salary dump.
Yeah, he was with Atlanta this past year.
He was with Atlanta.
He's bounced around. He's 31 years old, and he shoots the three.
Okay, so there you go. Now, so Holiday's gone, Porzingis is gone, and the Celtics are now under that luxury tax apron. So that could be it for the big stuff. We'll see what else happens here in the next day, but that is worth mentioning. So just quickly on the Red Sox, because a caller was talking about ownership, their unwillingness to spend on pitchers, and I heard this on the midday program today, Zolak and Bertrand, and they were lamenting the fact that Walker Buehler is signed to a 1-year, $21 million deal, so and not producing, which is really the important part. So here is, I've been asking this question for years. What are you better off doing, buying these lottery tickets on pitchers or actually signing a guy who's good?
Real pitchers.
So, for example, Max Fried signed for $225 million. That's an approximation. It was an 8-year deal. Might have been a little bit more, but whatever it was somewhere in that neighborhood.
It's $218, I think.
Okay, for 8 years.
Yep.
Are you better off doing that or signing Buehler, Giolito, and Patrick Sandoval in the last 2 years for a total of what amounts to basically $50 million this season? Okay, now Buehler's 21 of that, Giolito's 19, Sandoval's 9. So it's $49 million, but I'm calling it 50 just to make it easy. So now you don't have the exposure that the Yankees have with Max Fried, but Max Fried is candidate for the Cy Young Award, been one of the best pitchers in the game this year. I'll take the real thing every time. And it's not my money, I get it. What have these guys given you? And the Red Sox just quickly have had a history of this kind of signing in recent years. Garrett Richards, $10 million, sucked.
Mustache hack bum.
James Paxton, $6 million. He was okay for small parts, but you really didn't get the max out of him. And I think it was more than 6. I think it was 10.
Yep.
So I take that back. Buehler, 21. Giolito, 38. Liam Hendricks was a reclamation project in the bullpen. Not a ton of money, but he failed.
You're forgetting your 2023 opening day starter, Corey Kluber.
Okay, forgot.
Oh,
another good one.
Boy, did he suck.
$10 million, right?
Cash.
$10 million.
Wash.
Patrick Sandoval, $18 million. Michael Wacha, who actually pitched reasonably well for them.
And then they let him go.
Okay, but you add up all that money, and it's basically, what, $120 million flushed down the toilet? Wouldn't you just be better off spending a Max Fried and actually getting the production?
Yeah, but that would involve the Red Sox being smart. But they have all the answers, Maz. I don't know if you've heard.
I mean, I just think when it comes to that spot, extend yourself. And by the way, $200 million isn't really all that bad anymore when it comes to pitching. Anyway, it's the end of the show. McCarthy will get you caught up on headlines again. Another trade for the Celtics. First, it was Drew Holiday, but there has been another one. McCarthy will get you caught up on who that is, what the Celtics are getting back. Joe Murray has you for the balance of the night. We'll catch you tomorrow.